Ranger Incident Report 22-417, Appalachian National Park Service Archive, access restricted, at 6:14 hours. Maintenance Unit C reported an unsecured wooden door standing alone in a clearing approximately 3.8 miles north of trail marker 41. No surrounding structure, foundation, debris field, or evidence of transport was observed. Door measured 79 inches in height, 34 inches in width, constructed of weathered pine, fitted with a brass knob and a keyhole. Trail cameras covering the area recorded continuous footage. Review showed no arrival event. That report was never supposed to leave the archive, but 14 years later, it landed on the desk of investigative journalist Nathan Heller during a records request involving unexplained incidents inside Appalachian National Park. And at first it looked like a prank buried in government paperwork, until he noticed something odd. It was not the only report. There were 37 nearly identical reports spread across 12 years, all describing the same impossible detail. Every 7 days, a solitary wooden door appeared somewhere else inside the park, sometimes beside a creek, sometimes in a burned section of forest, sometimes in a meadow, sometimes along abandoned logging roads no longer marked on maps. Rangers documented each location carefully, installed cameras, posted warnings, and monitored the sites around the clock. Yet no footage ever showed the door arriving or leaving. One frame would show empty forest. The next frame, sometimes hours later, contained the door. 7 days after appearing, the process reversed. Cameras never recorded it disappearing. The door simply ceased to exist between frames. Nathan expected a bureaucratic explanation, hidden somewhere deeper in the files, but instead he found something worse. Every person who opened the door described seeing a different room beyond it. More disturbing, every one of them returned carrying the same key. The key was iron, heavily worn, approximately 4 inches long, marked with no manufacturer identification, no serial number, and no known metal composition matching standard industrial alloys. 37 people had opened the door. 37 keys existed. Laboratory analysis confirmed every key was physically identical, down to microscopic imperfections. According to records, the first documented witness was a seasonal park biologist named Rachel Simmons. She reported opening the door in 2008 and finding herself looking into a brightly lit office filled with filing cabinets. She stepped through for less than 30 seconds before returning. She carried an iron key in her right hand, despite insisting she had entered empty-handed. 3 days later, she resigned. 6 months later, she vanished while driving home from Knoxville. Her vehicle was recovered. She was not. Another witness, a retired firefighter, claimed the door opened into the kitchen of a house he had lived in as a child. He said everything looked accurate, except for a wall clock that moved backward. He returned carrying the same key. Another witness described a motel room. Another described a hospital corridor. Another claimed he saw a fully furnished apartment occupied by people who never acknowledged him. None of the descriptions matched, yet the key always appeared. Nathan expected exaggeration from witnesses, but what bothered him was consistency. Most interviews had been conducted separately. Many witnesses never met each other. Still, their emotional reactions followed similar patterns. Curiosity at first, obsession afterward. Within weeks of obtaining the records, Nathan traveled to the park and began interviewing former staff. Several refused. Others abruptly canceled meetings after initially agreeing. One retired ranger named Dale Mercer finally spoke on record. Dale had spent 28 years in the park and personally encountered the door 4 times. According to him, management initially treated it as vandalism until cameras failed to explain its movement. "You know what scared us?" Dale told him. "Not the door, the people afterward." Nathan asked what he meant. Dale slid a stack of photographs across the table. They showed various witnesses months after opening the door. Every photograph contained the same detail. The individuals had begun carrying their keys everywhere, around their necks, in pockets, attached to belts. One woman reportedly slept holding hers. Another had hers surgically implanted beneath the skin of his forearm after repeatedly losing it. None could explain why they felt compelled to keep it close. Several described recurring dreams involving locked doors. Nathan assumed psychological suggestion until he reviewed psychiatric evaluations included in the files. Many witnesses displayed symptoms resembling fixation disorders, but the onset occurred independently and often before they learned about other cases. The deeper he dug, the stranger the timeline became. The appearance cycle remained exact, 7 days, every time. No exceptions. Rangers attempted removing the door. It reappeared elsewhere 7 days later. They burned it. It returned. They dismantled it and stored the pieces. 7 days later, an intact version appeared 20 miles away. During one incident, authorities enclosed it within a temporary steel cage. Cameras showed the cage intact. The next morning, the door stood outside the enclosure, while the cage remained locked. Nathan filed additional requests and eventually discovered a forgotten folder labeled Internal Coordination Only. Inside were transcripts from a joint investigation involving park authorities, state police, and an unnamed federal agency. The transcripts revealed something the public never learned. Not everyone who opened the door came back immediately. Most returned within minutes. 4 returned hours later. 1 returned after 3 days. The longest absence lasted 19 days. The witness insisted only 5 minutes had passed. Medical examinations found dehydration levels inconsistent with 19 days outdoors. Even stranger, his beard growth suggested almost no passage of time. Nathan became convinced the story deserved publication, but before writing anything, he wanted direct evidence. 3 months later, on a Tuesday morning, Maintenance Unit D reported a new appearance near an abandoned fire road. Nathan received the call through a ranger contact and drove 6 hours to reach the site. The door stood alone among oak trees, exactly as described in the reports. No tracks surrounded it, no tire marks, no drag patterns, nothing. Rangers established a perimeter while technicians installed additional cameras. Nathan expected theaters. Instead, the scene felt painfully ordinary. The door looked old, sun-faded, and completely mundane, yet everyone present kept staring at it. One ranger confessed he had worked 3 appearances and still felt unable to look away. The door remained in place for 2 days while authorities debated access protocols. On the 3rd day, Nathan received permission to observe controlled testing. A volunteer entered first. He opened the door and immediately froze. When questioned afterward, he described seeing a high school classroom empty except for a single desk. He stepped inside for approximately 20 seconds and returned carrying an iron key. Nathan watched the examination himself. The key matched every archived specimen. A second volunteer reported seeing a basement workshop. Another described a church sanctuary. None encountered the same room. Nathan knew the story would never be believed unless he experienced it personally. Against official recommendations, he requested authorization. The request was denied. He entered anyway after midnight on the 6th day. Security footage later confirmed he approached alone. The door opened inward without resistance. Nathan expected darkness beyond. Instead, he found a small apartment living room illuminated by yellow lamplight. A television played static. Books lined shelves along one wall. Nothing appeared threatening, yet one detail stopped him. Framed photographs covered a side table. Every photograph showed him, not versions from childhood or public records. They showed moments nobody should have captured. Eating breakfast alone, falling asleep on a flight, sitting in his office late at night. Images taken from impossible angles, hundreds of them. Nathan later stated he felt certain someone was standing nearby watching him, although no person was visible. He backed away immediately. When he returned through the doorway, an iron key rested in his hand. The experience should have become the climax of the investigation. Instead, it marked the beginning. 3 days later, the door vanished, according to schedule. Nathan returned home with recordings, interviews, and documentation, sufficient to publish a major exposé. Before release, he reviewed archive witness statements again. One line appeared repeatedly in interviews conducted years apart. Witnesses often mentioned seeing another door somewhere inside their room. Not everyone noticed it. Only about half. Nathan had overlooked the detail because descriptions varied. Some reported closet doors, others described steel doors, painted doors, basement doors. Yet the witnesses who noticed a second door displayed stronger fixations afterward. Nathan reopened the files and mapped their outcomes. The pattern was undeniable. Of the witnesses who reported a second door, 11 later disappeared. Of those who did not, only one vanished. Nathan published the findings online. The article exploded. Within days, thousands debated explanations. Hoax, mass hallucination. Secret experiment, viral marketing campaign, federal project. Theories multiplied. Then something unexpected happened. Former witnesses began contacting him. Several claimed their keys had changed. At first, the alterations sounded imaginary. Slight scratches, new discoloration, weight differences. Nathan requested photographs. The changes were real. Over time, each key appeared to develop unique wear patterns despite controlled storage conditions. One key displayed symbols not present years earlier. Another showed corrosion on only one side. Laboratory reports confirmed gradual physical alterations. 6 weeks later, witness number 22 disappeared from Oregon. 3 days after that, witness number 9 vanished from Kentucky. Then another, then another. The disappearances shared a common factor. All involved people who still possessed their keys. Nathan contacted authorities. Few took the connection seriously. He traveled to interview families instead. One family provided security footage from a hallway camera. At 2:11 a.m., the missing man exited his bedroom carrying his key. He appeared calm. He opened the front door and stepped outside. He never returned. No vehicle movement, no signs of coercion, no explanation. Nathan eventually met a former federal investigator named Elaine Brooks, whose name appeared repeatedly in sealed records. After months of persuasion, she agreed to talk. Elaine revealed the government had quietly monitored the phenomenon since 2008. According to her, concern escalated after analyzing geographic data. Every appearance location formed part of a massive pattern stretching across the park. When plotted together, the points created overlapping spirals converging toward a remote valley closed to the public decades earlier following a landslide. The valley contained no roads and little documented history. Elaine believed the door was moving towards something. Nathan accompanied her to the valley. Reaching it required an 11-mile hike through restricted terrain. The place felt abandoned even by wilderness standards. Fallen trees blocked old paths. Rusted survey markers emerged from under moss. Near sunset, they located remnants of a structure absent from official maps. Only foundation stones remained. Buried beneath debris lay hundreds of iron keys, thousands perhaps, identical to those recovered from witnesses. Some appeared ancient, others looked newly made. Elaine stared at them for nearly a minute before admitting something she had hidden. She possessed a key herself. She had opened the door in 2011. Her room contained a library. Inside that library stood another door. She never opened it. Neither had most witnesses. Nathan asked why. Her answer unsettled him. Because it was unlocked. The next discovery changed everything. Beneath the ruined foundation, investigators uncovered a rusted metal box containing park survey documents dating back to 1937. Among them was a report describing workers finding a solitary wooden door in the forest. The language matched modern incidents almost perfectly. The 7-day cycle existed at least 70 years before official records began. Another document referenced missing surveyors. Another mentioned recovered keys. Suddenly, the phenomenon was not a modern anomaly. It had been repeating for generations. That night, Nathan reviewed witness statements around a camp lantern. A realization emerged. The people who disappeared were disproportionately those who reported secondary doors and maintained long-term possession of their keys. He called Elaine over and compared timelines. Together, they noticed something worse. Every disappearance occurred exactly 7 days after a specific event. The witness reported hearing a knock. The detail existed in scattered interviews, emergency calls, personal journals, and therapy notes. Usually 3 knocks, always at night, always from an unseen door. Witnesses described hearing it in apartments, hotel rooms, cabins, and suburban homes. Authorities had dismissed it as stress. Now it looked like part of a sequence. The next morning, they found fresh footprints near their campsite. One set, bare feet. The tracks emerged from dense forest, circled their tent, and vanished against solid stone. No return trail, no explanation. Elaine became convinced someone else occupied the valley. They followed the tracks toward an overgrown ridge and discovered a hidden entrance descending into an abandoned survey tunnel. Inside, walls were covered with dates carved into stone, hundreds of dates. Beside many were names matching known missing witnesses. At the tunnel's deepest chamber stood another wooden door. Same dimensions, same brass knob. Unlike previous appearances, this one was attached to a frame embedded in bedrock. Nathan photographed everything before touching it. The knob turned easily. The room beyond resembled the apartment he had seen months earlier, except now someone stood inside. The man appeared exhausted, thin, and terrified. Nathan recognized him immediately from archived photographs. Witness number 11, missing for 6 years. The man stared at Nathan and said, "You need to throw away the key." Then every light source failed simultaneously. Flashlights died. Lantern batteries died. Camera screens went black. In complete darkness, they heard 3 knocks, not from the door ahead, from somewhere behind them. Elaine grabbed Nathan and ran. They exited the tunnel blindly and did not stop until sunrise. When equipment functioned again, every photograph taken inside the chamber had vanished. The memory cards remained intact but contained empty folders. Authorities returned weeks later and reported no tunnel existed at the coordinates provided. Nathan suspected a cover-up until satellite imagery also failed to show evidence of excavation. Even Elaine began doubting her own recollections. The only physical proof remaining was her key and his. Months passed. Then the knocks started. Nathan first heard them in a hotel room while traveling. 3 deliberate knocks from a closet door. He opened it immediately. Nothing. 7 days later, he heard them again at home. Then again, each occurrence separated by exactly 1 week. He stopped sleeping properly. He moved residences. The knocks continued. Other surviving witnesses reported the same pattern. One by one, several vanished afterward. Nathan finally made a decision. He drove back to Appalachian National Park alone, carrying his key. On the 7th night after the latest knocking incident, he reached the valley. Waiting in a moonlit clearing stood the wooden door. No cameras, no witnesses, no authorities. Just the door. He later left behind a voice recording recovered from his vehicle. In the recording, he described opening it and finding the apartment again. The photographs were gone. In their place stood a second door at the far end of the room. Someone was knocking from the other side. Nathan never finished the recording. Search teams found his truck, equipment, and notes. They did not find him. Officially, he is listed as a missing person. The case remains unsolved. The park denies the existence of any recurring door phenomenon. Most records have disappeared from public databases. Several witnesses are still missing. Elaine Brooks refused further interviews and reportedly destroyed her key. As for the keys recovered over the years, inventory records show 37 specimens. Last year, an internal audit counted 38. No one can identify where the extra key came from, And according to the final document obtained before the archive was sealed, that unexplained key was discovered on a storage shelf, tagged with a name that does not exist in any witness file, any ranger report, or any missing person database. The tag contained only 2 words written in faded ink: "Returned visitor."